Greece. Okay, so yeah, Greece. So we travelled from the UK. For us, attending a World Masters, it's a lot about the planning. We enjoy the planning, meeting up many times before the event. That's probably half the fun, really. But Greece was great. It was a long trip to get there, um, which was okay. We were prepared for that. It was all good. Some of our colleagues had a few issues in the city of Milan, but that's fine. That's another story. But yeah, we got to Greece. It was fantastic. Appreciate the weather was a little bit light. The race officer, Stuart Childerley, did a fantastic job with his team. I think he squeezed the most out of the week in terms of weather and the opportunities to sail. The racing was as fair as it could have been. Um, Quite an experience to start with 140 odd boats on the start line. That was great, and I was lucky enough to do pretty well. So yeah, I enjoyed Greece. The being by the beach, literally your boat, beach, sailing, and then as soon as we finish, it was beach, boat, bar. So that worked really well. The fin class, sure. I mean, I've probably been sailing it since about 2006. So here in the UK, obviously, it's very strong in terms of Olympic representation. We had a very uh, high quality UK squad, Olympic squad, when I first started. So um, that was quite enjoyable to go to events where you are participating. You definitely against the best in the world. There was no doubt about it. Um, Very much an eye opener for a club sailor like myself. But I think the fin overall, it's a pedigree single-handed boat. For me, being 6 foot tall, sorry, 6 foot 4 tall, it's a perfect fit. It feels right when you look forward. It feels right when you look behind you. It feels right, and when you look up at the rig, it just feels all in proportion, I think. Um, and the performance of the boat is as good in 5 knots as it is in 25 knots. So it can sail through the whole wind range. Um, just a great boat to sail, and also the camaraderie of all the competitors that you sail with. So in the UK, we've got a great bunch of people, but the World Masters is a great event to go to because you meet up with friends you don't see from year to year, from different countries, and yeah, you just have a great time. And the focus all the time is about the boat, and it's a really great boat to sail. Or I think it, it it's a challenge, and I think that's what attracts people to the boat. Um, it you have to have a reasonable amount of experience, I think, to sail it well and to compete with it well. So I think that's the challenge. That's the draw, I think, for people to get into the class. Um, it's uh, you know, it's I think the Masters is probably, or events like that. I think are likely to grow across Europe and the world. Um, and it's about having quality events at quality venues. Um, and there's a blueprint for that. There's things that you need for that to work properly. Plenty of, be it slipway room, plenty of space for your cars, plenty of space for your trailers, a real nucleus, a sort of a hub, be that a sailing club or be that the beach as it was in Greece. Um, Plenty of hose pipes, I think, for our French visitors. Um, but yeah, there's certain things that you absolutely need to make a good event, and I think that over the coming years is what hopefully will happen with the Fin. We'll be going to some really good venues and having some really great events, and I think that will draw people in not only in the UK but across Europe? I think that's a challenge, because effectively the route through for a young person is now not there anymore. There's a challenge around the boats and the cost of the boats. You know, a new package now, if you bought brand new Fantastica, you know, brand new mast, trolley, covers, sails, etc. You know, pounds, you could be 25,000 pounds. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money even for an adult to find, let alone somebody, you know, from a youth perspective. Um, so I don't know what the answer is with that one. Whether it's trying to, you need to recirculate those older boats back into the class, but okay, the older boats are still competitive, but you could argue perhaps not as competitive as some of the, you know, the Fantasticas, the TTs, and some of the old style Petticrows. Um, so yeah, that's a challenge. You know, it's about cost, isn't it? But we've already set the cost with those new styles of boat. So I think it is quite difficult. Yeah, and you're right. That's testament to the quality. That's testament to the rules around the whole class. You know, the quality of build and everything. I mean, the boat that I sail is a 1998 boat, which I think is called a Devotti Classic. Probably not a classic in the true sense, but it's still competitive. But competitive probably up to a certain wind range, unfortunately. You know, the newer boats are certainly, I think, just a hair faster. It was probably one of the Devottis that was built in the UK, before the production moved into Europe. And it's a sail with an old. It's a 2007 hit mast, a relatively new sail, but yeah, it still has its moments, which is good. I won't be able to make it, unfortunately. No, no, I can't make it. I know a few of the guys are going from Christchurch Sailing Club, my home club, but unfortunately, I can't make it. Yeah, lots of other things going on as well, so I won't be able to make that one, which is a shame because I think we sailed for the World Masters in Lake Garda in Torbole. Oh, I think it was 2017, which was a great event with 300 plus fins, all in the north end of Lake Garda. I think we had two courses, four fleets, and yeah, that was yeah, for my first time sailing at Lake Garda, that was a tremendous event. Breathtaking scenery, as I'm sure you're well aware. So yeah, it's a shame. I'd love to be there, but not this time. There will be others, I'm sure. Knowledge from Lake Garda. Well, don't go out on the first night and drink too much of the local limoncello. And with every limoncello, you get an espresso coffee at the same time. Don't drink the espresso coffee with the limoncello all at the same time, because you wake up at about 4 o'clock in the morning with your heart pounding out your chest. So that probably wasn't the best start. Yeah, it was breezy. I think it's well known that you kind of head towards the edges for some small shifts. Um, but downwind, as always in the fin, it's about technique, and I think that's probably where, as long as your upwind speed is good, I think downwind is probably where the gains are, and that's technique in terms of you know, with the sail, with your making sure you got the right tension with the kicker, etc., and ensuring that you're steering as good as you can be, and just keeping the flow on the sail and working what waves there are, working those downwind. So yeah, that's probably my limited knowledge of Lake Garda. No, that's right. But I think for us in the Masters fleet, uh, certainly, I mean, I certainly get carried away thinking the more you pump the sail, the faster you go, but that's certainly not it. I think probably 70% of it is actually steering the boat and keeping the momentum within the boat. And if you can pump and get that working well, then that's even better. But yeah, I think some of us probably get too carried away pumping and think we're going fast when we're probably not. Oh, crikey. I'm not sure if you've asked the right person here.
Oh, come on.
Uh, for me, it's I think you can get carried away in the technicalities of the boat. Um, so for me, it's just keep it very simple. Um, literally you see people with their rig tension gauges, every time look at every last millimeter. Where in my head, I'm just thinking, well, that's a bad tack, or that's a bad jibe, or that's a bad decision upwind or downwind. Um, so, okay, yeah, I do try and get my settings right, but I kind of only have 3 settings, and I know exactly where they are on the boat. So that's my kind of number one thing. Just keep it very simple. Don't get carried away with a lot of the boat park talk, which there is a lot, and it is interesting. But I kind of think, I don't sail full time. I'm not of that caliber. I kind of just got to just bring it down a notch or two to something that kind of matches in reality what I am, and that's a club sailor who likes to go to these great events. Um, so keep it simple. Keep everything on your boat simple. If there's things on your boat that are not needed, then don't have them. I see lots of people with bags and things like that all in the boat. Get rid of all those things. Just keep everything as simple as you can and refined as you can. So that kind of would be my sort of top tips. If that's coming from me, that's probably all I can give you. Just keep everything basic and then not too much can go wrong. Yeah, that's right. But and have just a little check routine before you go out on the water all the time. Just start from the top of the mast and all the way back, and just check things, because the boats are strong. They'll handle most breezes, but it amazes me how many times things do fail on people's boats, and it's just a small check all the way through, from the bow of the boat to the back. Just making sure everything's all fit before you go on the water. And like I said, just keep it simple. I think that's all I can say. Well, next year, obviously, we're off to Italy, Punta Alla. So, obviously, lots of planning for that one. Already, the planning has started. But it'll be here in the UK. So, we've still got the Travellers Series, the British Fin Association Travellers Series. So, I think we've got the inlands coming up September time. And then there's another couple of small events, and I think we round off the year as we always do at Warsash Sailing Club on the River Hamble. So we sail out in the Solent, and that's kind of the end of year regatta here in the UK. So I look forward to doing that one. And other than that, it's club sailing really. We've got a fleet of about 12 fins now at Christchurch Sailing Club. Unfortunately, we can't get us out all at the same time. But we have a really, really good winter series. So we start our winter sailing November through to Christmas, New Year. And then we sail again in something we call the Icebreaker series, which is great. We sail in Christchurch Harbour. That time of year, it's very clear. It's usually full of water as well, which is good because of the flood coming down the two rivers. So we've got plenty of space. And that's really good training for us, although it's very cold, miserable, wet and windy. But we get through that. Looking forward to Punta Alla, you see. So that's our motivation to keep going. Ooh, do you know, I'm not sure because I've never been there before. But I believe we're launching off a beach, which is fine. I don't think it's expected to be super windy. But then these days, you turn up to regattas and you sail with what the weather is, isn't it? You can't predict these things, so always go with an open mind. But yeah, again, just much of the same. Just meeting up with friends from around the world, and hopefully there'll be some good sailing, and we'll all enjoy ourselves as we always do at the World Masters, and come back with lots of stories, and then we think about the next one, and the next one, and the next one. The people. I think first, I really enjoy the people, especially when we started out. I was in awe of some of the people who were at that high level sailing in the UK squad. We had some wonderful regattas at that time. Most notably, I remember I think it was 2012 down in Falmouth, where the British Nationals were sailed, and then soon after it was the Gold Cup, and that was being used as a final qualifying event for a lot of the world nations. But I do remember at the Gold Cup one particular day, it was a solid 25 knots, gusting well over 30, and we were sailing out in Falmouth, out in the bay. Crazy conditions, huge waves, and the scale of some of the people that we were competing against. I mean, we were just in the mid 50s, 60s, just enjoying ourselves. But the guys at the top of the fleet, they were sailing so well. But one guy in particular who won all 3 races on that day, he wasn't the biggest guy by far, and he blew away everybody pretty much. And that was Ben Ainsley. And seeing him at the end of that race, I mean, he looked completely broken. But to sail and win each of those races that we sailed on that day, I thought was just quite incredible. So that really did open my eyes to how far you can go with this particular boat. And then the boat itself, I just love sailing the boat. Like I said, you can sail it in 5 knots and have an equally enjoyable race as you can in 25 knots. So yeah, for me, the people and obviously the boat.
Well,
look forward to it. Nice to meet you.
nice to
Cheers.
meet you.